My name's Marcia Good. I work in the anthropology department, and now I've just completed my 15th year at DePaul. Before Hypothesis, I used such a range of things. I experimented everywhere. And I thought, how do we deal with reading being important when it's a least favorite student activity? If my top discussants in the class and the people that do really, really well on essays and stuff are not reading this material, what place does reading have in my curriculum, and how can I bend around that? And reading has changed to encompass the brain as it goes down through the page, is getting more and more accustomed to having image or sound or movement, or so for a brain to really hold an idea doesn't mean sitting still and working through black and white text for 8 to 10 pages at a time. That is what students just were having such a hard time with. And how can I work around that? How can I make it so that those texts, which are so important for them to grasp, are actually accessible for learning? When I talk to students about what it's like to read a book or an article, some of the best ones say it's a really lonely exercise. After the pandemic, we just needed more ways to build community and build collaborative learning spaces. I use discussion boards, but students express so much exasperation with the discussion board because every single class uses it. And they get really tired of just like, I have to go in and I have to write this thing and I have to do so many comments, and every single class does it. They just sort of need a breath of fresh air, somewhere, a different sort of place to engage with each other. I think in designing the prompts, I'm very careful to make sure they have space to express story, and I hate to use the word emotional, but to bring in their social world and their feelings, perspectives, and ideas about how they engage. It's particular and it's personalized. And in that way, they can write short things. On Hypothesis, you're not writing a big, long essay. You're commenting on one section of a text or with something someone else has said. So in little pieces, you can kind of build that more personal application of what a text means. One thing using Hypothesis and tools that allow students to express themselves a lot more broadly is that it isn't all about what I can see they take away from a course, and respecting that each student really is sort of an architect of their own learning, and what they'll take from the course is so unpredictable to me. And it's really about the process, and it's really about their engagement with others. And I've been so privileged to have students write to me or even walk up to me on campus and tell me, I learned to know people in my class better than any other online class. I actually knew who my classmates were. And they started to look forward to what specific people said. The other thing I really like about reading Hypothesis over reading Reflections is I get to see them talking. It's like standing in the hallway after class and seeing how students are actually talking about the material. I did have to learn how to not insert myself too much in those conversations. I think as a teacher, I want to be part of this learning community, but when I come in, it's like the authority voice has just come in the room, and it really tamps down on what they're doing in Hypothesis. So I found it much more useful to make summary comments on the news feed. Hey, I really appreciate that this and this and this came up in the news feed, but not to try to insert myself too much. Also, with Hypothesis, you have to give it enough weight in the gradebook. That's always a teacher's quandary. You know, they have to see that it's actually valuable. It's worth 30 or 40% of their work in my course is the reading. So I'm really learning to teach that reading matters